Okay, well, I probably screwed up that opening. I'm just trying to get live here as quickly as I can. There we go. I think we're live now. Hey, welcome. I see 6 viewers so far. So awesome. We're off to rolling. We're off to the races. I might be a little dark. I haven't really calibrated anything. I've been super busy. How you doing, Paul Kretz? Thanks for stopping by and saying hi. Let's see. I can put you on the screen here. I'll actually read your comment. And patience with me. 1 a.m. in Russia, so off to bed. Well, good night, sweet dreams, and stay safe out in Russia. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of hang out. Hi, Daniel Saldivar. How you doing? From San Antonio, great state of Texas, Lone Star State. I'm doing busy. I've been busier than I thought I would be. I keep thinking I'm going to like hit a dead zone and like be able to work on stuff. And maybe do some of my hobbies, maybe do some work on Filmmaker IQ. Not the case. I keep getting handed stuff. So I've been busy. Was busy last week, and my mom's kind of getting to the point where her health is a little bit more routine. I can kind of not be there like panicking all the time. But yeah, things. I know it's kind of cliche to say things are kind of busy. Everyone says, "Oh, what do you do? How you doing? How you doing there?" "Oh, I'm busy." I'm busier than I thought I'd be. So yeah, hopefully, Charles Hoffman, how you doing? So hopefully, busy means busy in a profitable way. It does, and I'm at a weird point in my life where like the last couple of years I've kind of started becoming profitable instead of being basically a money sink. And now I need to. So I've kind of got to the point where like. I'm at the stage where like I don't say no to anything at this point. Like yes, and it often means I have to do it at the expense of other things. But I mean, it is making money. So tomorrow I got another little shoot here. I've been doing student of the month programs for school districts. I started off last year. I was only doing 2, and it ballooned up to this. Now I'm doing 4. So it's getting to be quite a thing. They're really easy. I do live editing, live switching with those, and then I hand it off to my friend who helps me do some editing, and he just kind of cuts them up and puts some graphics on it, makes them look pretty, but the editing at least is done. So Daniel Saldivar says I got to come out to Texas. Yeah, I know. I've only been in Dallas for like 4 hours in a total of my life. I think I stayed over in Dallas like twice for like a layover. Not layover, but like transfer planes or whatever. Rittenhouse Gun Range says, support Taiwan. You don't understand how much I support Taiwan because I was born in Taiwan. My mom is from Taiwan. So my family is, half of my mom's side of the family lives in Taiwan. So yeah, Taiwan is certainly not a subject that I take lightly. So definitely want to support Taiwan in every essence. It's also weird too because there was being born in Taiwan and having lived in Taiwan for about 7 years of my life. When I'm obviously the first 7 years of my life, not very mature at the time, but like you got a sense of what. My dad did business in Hong Kong, which at that point was still not under Chinese rule. So we were always kind of like, is China going to do something? So, it's always been in the back of my mind. And it's always been kind of like, why would the Taiwan want to be folded back into China? And the weird thing, too, is like there has been a movement in Taiwan for reunification, like the reunification party in Taiwan. Which I'm like, why? It's just weird. Why? Yeah, Taiwan actually is quite a wonderful place, actually. Not that the Chiang Kai-shek wasn't kind of a dictator in his own sense, but hey, at least he wasn't. At least there's a little more freedom there. Alien drone services. Oh, cool. It says thumbs up button isn't going to press itself, folks. Thank you so much for pushing the thumbs up. And it's just a hangout chat. I'm not going to hang out for too long. So I do need to go back and do some more work here, but I figured I'd hang out for about an hour or so and just shoot the breeze with you guys. So I have been watching hold on, let's see. The Light Loves Movies. It's safer for a woman to drive in China than the USA or India. Okay. maybe. I don't no idea. I don't know where that statistic comes up from. You know, they say that 75 of all percent of all statistics you see on the internet are made up. So yeah. What the heck? Not too long. Not too long is still long enough for me to skive off of the end of shift at work. Cool. Well, there you go, Tara Fitzgerald. Just hang out. Am I a fan of Hong Kong cinema, and are the Taiwanese movies I have? Well, the Taiwanese movies I recommend would be Ang Lee, because Ang Lee hails from Taiwan. And Ang Lee's movie, probably the best movie about food is Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. That was the theme of the title. It's about three daughters, and their dad is a chef at the Grand Hotel, I think it's the Grand Hotel in Taipei, which is like the big hotel that everyone knows about. And the food photography of that is mind blowing, and the actual art direction of that movie is just unbelievably delicious. I mean, it looks so good. I've never seen food in a movie as good as that movie. So Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. That's the name of the movie. It is a kind of a character study about these three daughters, sort of like Fiddler on the Roof, I guess. Three daughters and how they kind of go off and marry, and to the father's chagrin or delight, so forth. And so it's kind of a family drama, but it's sweet, and the photography is, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. It's so amazing. Anyhow, so that's the thing. That's actually contrast to kind of what I've been saying. So the other night, my friends and I were at I was at a friend's house, and then we're trying to do a board game night, and then we were playing this one board game, and we just lost super quickly. And it was one of those co-op board games, and we said, well, what are we going to do? Well, have you seen the new Squid Game movie or TV show? So none of us have seen it, so let's watch the first episode. We watched the first episode, and I gotta admit, it was kind of disturbing for me. I didn't know if I liked it, but I wanted to see more of it. So I went home and I watched I'm up to episode 6 or something like that. And I gotta tell you, you know what? Part of me, I have to finish it because I feel like I've got to finish it just because of the nature of what I do. But I don't like the show at all. I just don't like it. I kind of hate the show, frankly. I think it's more about the point of my life that I'm in. And I think somebody was talking about it on Facebook, and I was kind of making this point that the villains are cartoonishly evil, but the violence is not cartoonish. And it makes me really kind of sick to watch it. I don't like the violence in the show. It's so horrific. It's so cold-blooded, and it feels like it's excessively violent. And I don't know, there's no way of doing this story, I think, with that in mind. It just I don't like the show. I have to finish it. I have to finish and see what happens. I did kind of read a Reddit post about some guy saying this is overrated, so I kind of read a little bit, what do you call it? Confirmation bias. I wanted someone else to confirm the fact that I did not like the show. Everyone's talking about the show. I wanted to see what people that didn't like the show. And I got some of the spoilers in that show. And I'm like, not that surprising that the spoilers, there's a spoiler that I read. I won't share it. The spoiler that I read, I'm like, yeah, I could see that. I could see that. It's like it wasn't too dishonest. Now the thing is, I wouldn't call it hate watching with John. I wouldn't call it hate watching because I don't hate this. Well, no, I just don't like it. But I have to watch it because I have to find out. I have to see the whole thing, right? I have to get the whole sense of the show before I can really feel confident in whether I just don't like it. Rigel 7, I'm talking about Squid Games. Whoops, don't stop streaming. I did hit the wrong button there. I'm talking about Squid Games. I don't know. I guess it's one of those things where it's when everyone hypes up a show like Squid Games, you have to watch it, right? And then you're like, It just isn't my thing. Like another thing is like I don't really care for battle royale either. I mean, I get the premise. I just don't care for this kind of shows. Tara Fitzgerald says, tone clash for the level of violence. I find that in movies like Hard Boiled, and since we mentioned cinema, works, but would be over the top in other settings. Yeah, I think that it's not so much the level of violence, maybe the maliciousness of the violence in that show. It's. I think with something like Battle Royale or Hunger Games, which I haven't seen Hunger Games. I mean, Hunger Games not my thing, right? But it's like they're killing each other, kill or be killed. Kind of. It's a war thing. With Squid Games, it's just like cold-blooded murder, and it's like they're not trying to hurt. Like if in war you shoot somebody who's trying to shoot you, I understand that level of violence. I can kind of empathize with that. But with Squid Games, and I'm not giving anything away. This is like the first episode. They're playing a schoolyard game, and they're just being killed, like just for no reason. Well, they're being killed because they didn't win. They didn't, freeze. They played a red light, green light, where they have to freeze when the person's looking at it. And if they're not frozen, they get shot by a sniper rifle. I don't know. And it gets worse than that. It gets to become like cold-blooded execution-style murder. And it feels like I'm watching a Stanford prison experiment over 8 episodes, or 9 episodes, whatever long it is. And I don't know. Everything just feels like it's so like torturous. Not torture. It's so like dreary porn. Like everybody's lost their job. Everybody's just down on their luck. No one has any money. Everyone's just so feeling bad. And like the bad guys are so undeveloped. So the villains. The villain is so underdeveloped. It just feels. I can't get into the show. But I gotta watch it because everyone's talking about it, so I gotta figure out the whole thing, Okay, Buzz says, do you think, you're gonna get me in trouble, do you think America is the best country in the world? If not, what is, and what do you like being American? I probably do think America is the best country in the world, but I'm not gonna knock anybody else, any other country in the world, because you all love where you live, and that's the way it should be. And what do I like about being American? I like the freedom and like the ability to kind of do whatever I want to do. Do I know it's a metaphor, right? Well, it's not a metaphor. I know like intellectually it's supposed to be a metaphor, but that's a cop-out. That's a cop-out because the violence is you can't make that defense. It's just it's just not. I'm not a fan of the show at all. Like I get the whole. You get the whole like it's supposed to be a metaphor for the society and all that. I don't buy that. I just don't buy it. Boa Mike says, I need more trumpet videos, please. Do you also write music? I used to write music, but I find writing music to be very frustrating for me because I'm not very well versed in music theory. I know enough music theory to be very, very dangerous, but I don't understand enough about cadences and chord progressions are still. I know the 2-5-4-7, 2-6-5-1 stuff and all that, but that's still a little bit too far away from my head. And what's it called? Oh yeah, oh yeah. So I'll get back to it. I'll get back to a second. I'll go back to Wright's comment there. Awful take, but okay. No, I don't think it's an awful take. I think it's a legitimate take because I think I'm coming at it from a different point of life than you guys are. Because I think I'm coming at it from a person that I live my life right now where I got a lot of stress in my life, and I just don't see the value of this show. I mean, I get people. I honestly, I don't get why people like it. I think it's kind of awful. I think it's just an awful show. Now you can say it's an awful take. That's fine. You can have your own opinion, but I think to say that my opinion is not valid is not quite right. John. You know what sucks casting? Like as in the general sense casting, or as in like the casting of that show? I don't know. I thought the casting looked pretty good, and the acting looked pretty good. I mean, the cinematography looks great. I don't think it's particularly special, but it looks great. I don't know. I also think that, like I said, so we were talking about Ang Lee, Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, right? How come everything that's popular from Asia has to be about horrible people and ugliness? Like, why is it that all the stuff that's coming out of the popular stuff that's Korean Asian movies is or it's Japanese horror, I said it right, and then there's like Korean stuff it's always like dark. Why can't there something be like Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, where it's beautiful and it's just life affirming? Wright says, to say that you refuse to accept the intended metaphors is objectively awful take. That's kind of stupid. I didn't say I refuse to accept the intended metaphor. I'm saying the metaphor is not acceptable, or it's not an excuse for the kind of just narrative nastiness. It's just not. And Charles Hoffman kind of follows up here. The point, maybe you can kind of illustrate what I'm saying. The problem is that the spectacle of the violence in the show kind of overwhelms the message. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm going with that. It's not so much. I'm not saying that the metaphor doesn't exist. I'm saying the metaphor is a lousy excuse for that kind of just the tonality doesn't work for me. Like I said, like I was saying, I hate the fact that everything that's popular from Asian culture has to be extremely violent and terrible. Again, I'm saying and I'm saying this from a perspective, and I'm going to open up to you guys, because I'm dealing with my mom's health for the last year. It's hard. So I don't necessarily want to sit down and watch people get executed. And I get, it's a metaphor, but I don't see that as life. My life, I deal with caretakers, I deal with doctors, I deal with people that I'm always afraid that, like this morning, my mom had a physical therapist, and I was always nervous, my mom's not quite ready. And I'm always worried that I'm not, I'm wasting their time. But they also kind of appreciate what they're there to help my mom and do things. The world is not as stark as the show is making it out to be. And then when I watch the show, and look, it's got parts that I'm kind of fascinated and interested in, but the violent stuff, the actual execution of the games, is so awful to me. It's so awful that I can't take it. It makes me feel really bad to watch it. There's nothing affirming about it, and I don't like any of the characters. Maybe the kind of like the main character, because he's got a great look to him. I like his appearance, and I like his acting, but it's just I really do kind of hate the show. I just hate that. I hate that this is popular. Why can't I'd rather watch something that's a little more lovely, a little more, I don't know, a little more life affirming. Okay, so on the opposite side of things, so this is nothing I haven't told you guys yet. I've been doing the show Matilda, right? I've been doing the musical Matilda, which is, I just found out was written by Tim Milchin. Which he's like Fly the Conchords. He's a comedy musician, fantastic. And Matilda, on the other hand, has also a lot of extremely dark stuff, but it feels more life affirming, and it feels more good. Matilda, literally, there's the lyrics in the very first opening song where Matilda. I'll tell you how the show starts. It starts with all these kids on stage saying, "My daddy says I'm a miracle," and then every kid's like, "I am the most special little guy in the world because I'm special." And then a party clown comes out and's like, well, how can all these kids be special and being above average is being average? It's all, everyone thinks they're special. You can't all be special. And then Matilda comes up there and starts saying, my daddy says I'm a horrible person. I'm a horrible creep. My mommy says I'm a excuse for population control. My daddy says I should shut my pie hole. Stuff like that. Like literally, like the most child almost was not. I mean, there's not necessarily physical child abuse, but the mental child abuse is off the charts in Matilda. It is dark, but the show has this little bit of, there's a spark of of hope in it. I don't know. That's the thing I had. Squid Games, man, there's just no hope. It's just so dark and bleak. And from my perspective of my life right now, like I said, I will watch the end of it because I feel like I have to. Like I can't. I couldn't just leave this go. I've got to see how it ends, so then I can make it full. So maybe in a week or two I can come back and we can do a whole dissection of the whole thing. But yeah, like I had more fun watching I had more fun watching the D-Day invasion in Saving Private Ryan. It just Prisoners. Is that the one with is that the Denis Villeneuve movie, Prisoners? Because I liked that. Like that movie was really good. I really liked that, and it wasn't. Again, I'm not going. I don't know how else to explain the fact that I just don't like watching, essentially, execution murder. Which is what half of that. Well, it's what the action scenes in that show are. Is basically execution style murder. And I don't know. And again, not to berate a point, which I'm going to go a little bit dangerous waters. I don't like the idea that it feels like the only thing that Americans watch of Asian stuff is the horror and bloody stuff. Like, name a Japanese romance that you've seen that's popular in America. Doesn't exist. How about a Japanese comedy or a Korean comedy? Everything is like super bleak. At least that's the only way. I don't know. Maybe that's just the way Americans see Asian cultures. They only appreciate the dark stuff. And again, I don't want to go down this road I don't want to be like, oh, it's it's racist and all that. No, it's just. I wonder if there's a little bit of the Oriental fascination. I mean, they're probably in trouble for saying that word, but like I don't know. Never mind. Let's go back to some of your chats. Pedro is kind of echoing a little bit of what I'm saying. Lately, I'm tired of watching such ugliness. Even Marvel, what if is something tiresome. Everything starts with something going wrong. We know things will go really bad when Thanos arrives. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, and I feel like I think I was echoing this the other day when I was on here. Like the number one is Squid Games on Netflix. Number 2 is Made. And I read the caption of Made, and I thought, Made is an M-A-I-D. And I thought, why do I want to watch this? This looks so depressing. This is so depressing. Anyhow. Okay, so we got another question here. Ignacio says, I read a while ago by Matt Zoller's Sites, and I strongly agree and I wanted to get your opinion. The older I get, the more I pretty much need for every movie to be experienced, not merely a story. Life's too short to be fully engaged at the movies. Make it feel like I'm having someone else's dream. Yeah, maybe. Oh, there. Actually, Mark McKinney says Crazy Rich Asians is a romance. Yeah, except it's not. It's an American movie, I think. Pretty sure it's an American movie. Anyhow, life's too short to be engaged at the movies. Makes it feel like I'm having someone else. Make it feel like I'm having. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think I need everything to be an experience. Although I get the sense. The older you get, maybe the more you want. I don't know. Like a lot. Maybe I'm more empathetic. I feel like I feel things deeper than a lot of other people. I don't know. Like I when I'm doing Matilda, I play in the orchestra pit. I can't see the play, but I can hear it, and I can hear the audience reaction to it. So maybe in my mind, I feel like I'm experiencing the play, and I imagine what's going on in the scene, and it probably isn't exactly what's happening on stage. So I can feel certain things, and I think a lot of other musicians are not at that level. Maybe it's my experience as being a filmmaker, if I'm put air quotes around that, or being a director. So I like also when an actor skips lines, like I can feel it, and I know, oh shoot, they skipped a line. We need to jump ahead. For opening night, we had almost a disaster because they skipped a bunch of lines, and we were in another song, and the other people weren't like aware that we were in the other song. But there's a section in the play Matilda. I know I'm bouncing around different ideas here. There's a section in the play Matilda where Matilda imagines a story about a escapologist, which is an escape artist for us Americans, us American adults, and an acrobat. And she tells a story, and there's a section in there where she's talking about the evil stepsister. And the evil stepsister says to the child, "You are a stupid, evil little creature. You are an awful human being." And like that, the child and the language of that to the child, and this is the child conjuring up in her imagination this horrible sense, this horrible, evil, mean person, like yelling at her, which is kind of a reflection of her father. It's heartbreaking. Like every time I come to the show, it's like that's like extremely heartbreaking. And then the dad comes to the child and says, "Don't cry." You know, oh no, the dad's like, I'm sorry, I abandoned you. I'm sorry I abandoned you. And the child's like, "Don't cry, daddy, don't cry, daddy." And that part of the show just like rocks me to the core. It's so powerful. Now that whole little sequence is not in the book. It's not in the movie. This is conjured up for this musical. I forget what I'm going with, but other than the fact that I like I feel that so deeply, so deeply. So when I watch Squid Games, I feel the execution style murder. It's just I'm not entertained by it. I feel awful seeing. I just feel awful seeing it. Ugh. Anyhow, all right. Back to you guys' comments. All right. Let's see. Boa writes, I find the lack of nuance a bit weak. Most of the characters just feel like they're caricatures parodied with the broadest of strokes. I agree with that. They are. That's kind of one of my issues. They're cartoonish, right? Even the bad guy is cartoonish. I mean, it's literally James Bond henchmen. They have no faces. There's kind of like, I mean, I realize I'm only about 6 episodes in, so I'm not to the end. I haven't seen The Americans yet, which I've read about. I haven't seen the other people, but anyhow, there you go. Kuku Haku Confessions is a great film. All right, put that on your list, guys. Check that one out. Bill Maher says that mainstream films nowadays are just superhero movies or woke fests. Do you agree? You never make a blanket statement about popular culture. Just don't do it. I think that's the major thing you got to remember. Like, yes, there are a lot of woke fests. Yes, there are a lot of superhero movies. But don't paint everything that way. There's stuff out there. We just got to find it, maybe. You know, and I think it's easy to deride popular culture just by looking at what is the most obvious and the most in your face. You know, and miss all the little things. Like, I don't know what's going on with. I just saw a little bit of an ad for it, but new Wes Anderson movie, the French Parcel or something, the French Dispatch, right? Now it looks like the Bohemian, the Grand Budapest Hotel. It looks like Grand Budapest Hotel Part 2, right? It's got the exact same aesthetic. But I love that movie. So yeah, maybe we get a different story along with the same kind of character storytelling. Why not? That looks like fun. What about the Paddington movies? Those are not too old. I'd love to see more of those, you know. Anyhow. But the thing is, and I think we're talking about caricatures. And the right and Bo are debating in the comments, and this is great. But like something like Mad Max Fury Road. Now, Mad Max Fury Road is well, Mad Max Fury Road isn't nearly as violent as Squid Games is more horror with a lot of gore. Mad Max is more adventure story, and Mad Max is obviously very much of a metaphor as well. But anyhow, oh, there you go. Yeah, Memories of a Geisha and Last Samurai are also American too. Like, yeah, my mom watched. You know what's funny too is what my mom. I got my mom the Taiwanese package from Sling, which is not Sling Blade. My brain was Sling, which is a streaming service, and so I have her watch a lot of the Taiwanese like chat shows and stuff like that. Production quality of some of these shows is not that great. It really isn't. They've come the ways to go. Or maybe it's just they just like it that way. I don't know. But some of the Taiwanese movies, though, the quality looks fantastic. It looks great. But some of it's like, soap opera-ish. It's not just the frame rate. It's just everything's super bright and white. Anyhow, have I seen The Master? No, I have not gotten around to seeing The Master. Philip K. Dick says pig effer on a YouTube clip and had to watch it. It's quite compelling. I bet. I just haven't gotten around to it. Like I said, a lot of times I just want to watch. I'm stressed out. I've got stuff I don't want to sit down and watch something heavy necessarily. So I stay away from the heavy movies right now and kind of just watch some lighter comedy, lighter fare. Let's see what this one says. There are a handful of Japanese comedies on Netflix, but you do have to go looking for them. Like Kantaro, though I don't know if it's on the U.S. Netflix, but I have seen it in Canada. There are one of my mom caretakers went into a deep dive on Netflix and found a bunch of Taiwanese romance movies. I didn't watch them, but she said they were really good. So that's what I'm saying. How come that doesn't come mainstream? Why is the only thing mainstream in America? Only Asian mainstream stuff is horror and bloody stuff, and I know Parasite isn't necessarily horror, but Parasite's kind of Parasite's more, it's a dark comedy, kind of a con man thing. It's not so bloody and all that. I haven't seen it yet, but Minari seems to be a good Korean film. Don't know if it's a Korean U.S. made or not. Hello from Berlin, Pops Freshenmeyer. How you doing? Squid Game is so much deeper than we thought. I don't know if it's deeper, though. I feel like it's superficial. Oh, okay, Boa. There we go. Boa says, let's talk about Free Guy. That was a fun movie. I really enjoyed Free Guy. I thought it was fresh. You talk about it let's, how come there are no original stories? It was an original story, fresh original story. It does have a lot of, it has nods to, there's a Deadpool kind of humor with Ryan Reynolds, just kind of naturally brings that kind of humor to everything he touches nowadays. I think he was on the producing team of that movie. I'm pretty sure. I know he was. It's fresh. It had a lot of felt current. Obviously, I wonder how well that aged. People are like, who are those? Who is that guy? Who are those streamers that they keep? I only recognize about half of them. I don't really know the streaming community. Jacksepticeye, because apparently one of the videos he talked about one of my videos, so I know who Jacksepticeye is. But that movie was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. If you want to go, sure, there's a lot of deeper cuts in that movie, and a lot of gamer culture and all that stuff. It was just a really, really, really fun movie. I really enjoyed that movie. I think it's probably one of my favorite movies of the year. Although, being that it's 2021, I still haven't seen that many movies this year. Oh, you didn't want to talk about, but you didn't want to talk about. Well, too late. I just did. There you go. I feel like we don't have enough of those nice soulful dramedies like Taika Waititi's Hunt for the Wilder People. I don't think I've seen Hunt for the Wilder People. I like Taika Waititi a lot too. I think he makes life affirm. Like, I don't want to be this Pollyanna. I'm not like, oh, everything needs to be life affirming. You know, I just want some stuff to be, I don't know, not 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 a not completely not Stanford prison experiment. To be fair, Wes Anderson is aesthetic. Look at anything he's made, you know instantly. Wes Anderson has developed certain aesthetic, but I think there's something about like 1930s, 40s Wes Anderson period dramas, versus something like one of my favorite. Well, not it wasn't Bottle Rockets. The one after Bottle Rockets, the one with I forget the name. It's the one where Bill Murray is playing basketball, or some kid's playing basketball. Bill Murray comes in and just steals the ball. Forget the name of that movie. That was a cute movie. You know, he's Wes Anderson in the last like 3 or 4 ever since the Moonrise Kingdom, has developed a certain very, very visual aesthetic, whereas Wes Anderson maybe before was kind of just playing on the edges of that, but now it's like full blown Wes Anderson. So, regarding Mad Max, I think event averages at 2 seconds per shot. What will that age well? Do you think? Yeah, because the thing with Mad Max, I think this is talked about a lot with Fury Road, is the way the shot is composed. Everything, if you watch Mad Max, everything is composed with a center composition. Everything is center of the frame, not necessarily center of the frame, but like everything's kind of and they did this very consciously. They really made sure your eye doesn't have to travel around the screen. It can stay in the center, and then you cut really quickly, and it doesn't feel like you're just being, jostled around. So it's a very clever use of the composition. And like when I saw the movie 4 times in theaters. I thought that was insanely well done. Have I seen Pig, the Pig Nicholas film? I have not. I shouldn't I? 'Cause that looks pretty cool. Moonrise Kingdom. Yep. I didn't love the movie, but I can see why it is such a everyone loves it, because it's a cute movie. What is the difference between violin and viola? A violin is a higher pitched instrument. Viola is a little lower. So violin would be your soprano voice, and viola would be your alto voice. And then cello is the tenor voice, and then bass is obviously your bass voice. So, but I like your answer. The viola burns longer. That's good. That's good. I thought I was taking you seriously there. That's very good. That's a very good question. Very good answer. The Journey of the West was a movie that was on Netflix. It was hilarious. Don't know if it's still there. Nope. Check that out. I wish Free Guy was R-rated. I don't know if R-rated would have been. I think. I don't know. I don't know if R-rated would have made it better. I think it's nice that it's. What, you want some more boobies in it? Is that what you're saying, or do you want more gore or more F-bombs? I mean, F-bombs, I could make it like Deadpool rated R. Free Guy equals Wreck-It Ralph with guns. I actually equated that Free Guy to Lego Movie, but with video games. Because I got a very, very Lego Movie, at least from the first few minutes of the movie, are very Lego Movie-esque. Let's see. At one point, they check out the players with a device that scans microphones behind the ears. My question is, how do they get the game from there? How do they get from the game? I think if right 9060 was right, you gotta drop all semblances of reality. You gotta check your BS meter at home. Because it's a metaphor. Don't you get it? It's a metaphor. I'm just joking. There's a lot. Like, how do you have an operation with that many people and then have it go on that many years? Because I did see that part of the show, and not have it leaked to the rest of the world. I mean, come on. So yeah, it's not true. Anyhow, I'm 4 minutes behind in your comments. Sorry guys, I'm just catching up here. Lamb and Titan were quite twisted foreign films I saw in theaters. One's about half human lamb child. Oh, Lamb. Yeah, I saw the trailer for that, and it looked pretty interesting. Half lamb child, and the other is about a lady who gets impregnated by a car. Wow. Thank you, Derek. I gotta watch that. Boa, yeah, I was talking about a movie older than Royal Tenenbaums. The one before Royal Tenenbaums. Any movie that's made where people don't have a smartphone as an appendage is now fresh to me. Yeah, a lot of movies are a lot different now that we have phones. We got right around that nowadays. What do you think of Park Chan? Again, I don't know that many. He's foreign because I'm an American. Now I'm an American. I mean, I was born an American actually, but now that I live in the states, I don't really watch. I barely watch many of the American movies. So the other show that I watched or movie that I watched, here's the one that's a weird one. I've been watching a lot of Batman. I watched a lot of Batman. I watched a lot of Batman in 2020. And I'm not talking about Batman live action. I'm talking about animated Batman. Warner Brothers animated Batman shows. I didn't watch the Batman animated series. I watched the movies. And I watched The Long Halloween, which is on HBO Max. And I gotta say, that's pretty good. And I kept thinking to myself when I was watching this is like a regular mob movie, except there's one guy who's dressed like a bat. And for some reason, I'm okay with that. Well, I mean, there's also like Poison Ivy and a Catwoman and all that crap. But it's, yeah. There's a dude walking, he's like being very serious, but he's dressed like a bat. Which makes me think like the Batman, I don't know, Batman to me as a superhero has transcended the hero trope necessarily. Like, you know, we've all, even though this movie does, it's actually two movies, they broke it into two parts. They do kind of go back and show you a little bit of, you know, spoiler alert, Batman's parents died. I hope it didn't spoil. Even though they do show a little bit of that, like we don't need that anymore. We don't need another cinematic visioning of Batman's parents. We get it. So Batman can, at this point in this culture, we can kind of accept Batman as this character that just goes on adventures. Kind of like James Bond in a way. You know, you don't need to necessarily know James Bond's origin. It doesn't really matter, honestly. You just kind of go on an adventure with Batman. My thing's beeping. My batteries are being charged. Anyhow. Oh, Justice League animated is a skipper, highly passable. Harley Quinn is 100% annoying. In the Justice League movie, okay, I haven't, or the animated movie, I'm not a huge fan of Justice League. Like I don't really care for anything. I mean, I like the Marvel stuff, although I watched one episode of Loki. I think I said it on stream before. And Owen Wilson, every time Owen Wilson's on screen, I think, oh, wow. I just can't help it. And it took me out of that show so hard. Anyhow. Yeah. Anyhow, let's go to your comments here. So, yeah, there you go. Pops Fresh, my crime stuff has become so lame since the smartphone age eliminated deduction in favor of lab results being delayed in real time. Yeah, that's for sure. There we go. Any thoughts on Danger 5? I don't know what Danger 5 is. I don't know what that is. So, my phone's going crazy. Artemon says, Batman parents are always dying, bro. Just like Spider-Man's uncle. You haven't seen it 20 times. You haven't seen it enough. Yeah, every show they got to do it. And it's always like the same visuals, the same clutching of the pearls, slow motion. But at least with the Long Halloween, it's only like hinted at. And it's only because Batman revisits that location after he's been gassed by the Scarecrow dude. So... Oh, good question. Ramsey says, how do you think the future of media consumption is going to be like in 20 years from now? I have no idea. That's a great question. You know, the thing about, and I deal with this a lot, I guess, because I deal with comments about 24 frames a second. Like, who would have thought 24 frames a second would still be viable today? If, you know, it makes sense and it would always increase. And we have no idea. I think more and more media becomes more and more ubiquitous and accessible to us. And I know for a fact that like I have my phone usually on a podcast or something a lot of times during the day when I'm not doing anything very important. I'll be listening to something, and it's sort of like, I used to listen to more talk radio. I don't listen to it anymore because I don't like the ads. But yeah, I think it's going to be more ubiquitous. I don't think I think resolution is dead. I think I was going to do a video eventually about, I think, future proofing. The whole concept of future proofing is bogus. It's not, we have no idea what's going to be like in the future. Anyhow. Danger 5 is an Australian camp show, kind of like Thunderbirds meets World War II Kill Hitler pilots. Excellent miniature sets. Oh, cool. Maybe check it out. Danger 5. Loki would be a great standalone movie. Just get rid of everything in the middle, and there is a smash hit. Maybe that's what the issue is. Vertical format kills a good movie. If you have ever been on some of these OnlyFans, that vertical video. Okay, never mind. We won't talk about that. I won't get demonetized. No, I won't. Marvel cinema is kind of boring, in my opinion. CGI makes it a lot possible, but comics just give you way more room for creativity because people just accept stuff. Seems insane on screen. Transporting that is hard. Yeah, I think so. What I liked about that Batman, even though that's not Marvel, I understand it's DC, but I didn't really. The Batman movie, I don't care about the fight scenes. I mean, they're kind of cool and all. I get that, but to me, the cool part about that Batman movie was the relationships, the kind of the judgment of Batman and what he feels. I mean, there's a lot more. I related to the emotional stuff of the Batman movie, and the same thing happens with Marvel. If the Marvel movies have that emotional aspect of it, I can get into it. Like, I don't care about CGI creatures punching each other. It doesn't really, to a certain extent, it's okay. Like I enjoyed that Godzilla versus King Kong movie because it was just over the top blow up stuff. And yeah, but I don't like emotionally connect to the character. Like I don't emotionally connect to King Kong because I too understand what it's like to be a big giant ape that no one loves. Maybe not, but. No, yeah. So I think that's the problem with Marvel too. I guess if you're introducing so many characters that every character is just like a new introduction. You don't have time to really feel emotionally attached to anybody. I guess that's why Tony Stark grew on people because you got emotionally attached to him. Anyhow, No Time to Die in IMAX shifted between 3 different aspect ratios, and the Eternals trailer did the same thing. Yeah, that's kind of a thing that they're doing with IMAX these days. It's like they can only afford. Or they only want to shoot certain things on IMAX, so they're constantly changing the aspect ratio. I know Transformers was really, really, really hit hard for doing that. Oh, thank you, Matt McGinnis. Single-handedly done more for film education than anyone else. Oh, thank you so much. Well, I hope that's true. Although I get comments that piss me off every night telling me I'm wrong. I mean, don't know what I'm talking about. But no, I appreciate it. I don't mean to drag negativity because I try to be more positive. I know people were upset last time because I was too negative. I'll try to be more positive. Still didn't care for Squid Game, so just kidding. I know. I'm gonna finish it. I might change my mind. You never know. In your opinion, and from a videographer perspective, is Blackmagic a better deal than Canon or in Sony Cineline? Good question. I'm going to tell you no. This is my personal opinion. My personal opinion is of those 3, I found that Canon to be probably the most expensive, but probably the most effective camera. Like literally, it saves me the most amount of work. Now, your experience, people are taking the keyboards right now. I can hear the clacking of the keyboards. How dare you? Blackmagic is so much better. How dare you? Sony is so much better. Canon and your stupid Canon fanboys. Yeah, I get that. And that's why you should try them all out. Literally, this is what I did. I literally rented the 3 cameras I was considering. A Blackmagic Ursa Pro, a Sony, at the time I was looking at the Sony G3, and a Canon C200. I literally rented every camera and I used it for a actual working project. Like I was getting paid to shoot these things. I tried them all out, and I found that the Canon was it was the most expensive, but it just got me there quicker than the other two cameras. And I didn't like the Blackmagic Ursa because that thing was like a tank. It was so heavy, so heavy. So that's what I think you should do that. Like put away. Don't just get one. Like try them all. Rent them. You know, because I mean, come on, it's a multi-$1,000 purchase. You can go ahead and spend, you know, like $100-$200 to rent it for a couple days and try it out, and actually shoot a project, like a real project. Don't go to the park and shoot something. Like literally, legitimately shoot a project with it, and then you can get a better feeling of it. There you go. Tara Fitzgerald says, if you want to talk future proofing, JMS shot it on 35 millimeter, and then thought it was, and though it was broadcast in 4:3, he shot at 69. Shame they lost the originals for the CG. Oh, Babylon 5. Yeah, Babylon. The thing with future proofing that people gotta forget, and I'll probably do a video on this eventually. But future proofing happened when we were transitioning from standard definition to high definition, and there was going to be an obvious aspect ratio change. So a lot of companies tried to upsell the HD technology, which honestly wasn't that good yet. But, you know, you have to sell it as in, hey, buy this new HD thing. That way, when you make your video, when we all transition from SD to HD, you'll be ready. You'll have stuff ready. Okay, so it made sense then. However, now to say, oh, shoot everything in 12K, so you're future-proofing it. Like, no, you're not. Like, I don't think people in the future are going to be watching 12K. I will bet money that no one in the future will be watching stuff in 12K. Because I think most people are going to watch their stuff on their phones or their tablets. I think the days of, I mean, there's still going to be big, giant TVs. People are still going to have that. But I don't think that's the future. Who would have thought? Who would have thought like the major direction of media in the last, let's say, 10 years has been away from TV and to mobile devices? Who would have thought that, right? It hasn't gone bigger and bigger and bigger. It hasn't gone the Fahrenheit 451 video screen that they imagined the future would be. No, it's now your phone. That's what happened. So I don't think 12K is, I don't think you're future-proofing. The only way to future-proof content is to make stuff that the future would actually want to watch. You know, like, and because I deal a lot with corporations and doing like B-roll and stuff like that, be ready to just realize, bite the bullet, you're going to have to refresh your footage every few years. You can't just shoot something, oh, we're going to shoot our product line and we're going to use it for the rest of time. Maybe. You know, my buddy works at a major Indian casino nearby, like one of the biggest in California, and they just got done with a huge, like, rebranding thing, or not rebranding, but freshening up their stock footage, because they're, you know, they every 3 or 4 years they go ahead and like they massively redo all the footage. He actually asked me to help him on that, but I was busy. I would have loved to help him do on that because I kind of like doing that kind of stuff. Anyhow. Not resolution, not frame rate, not even bitrate. I think HDR and the bigger color spaces are going to be the next thing. I agree with you. I think HDR is a thing, but the thing is though, how do you know which HDR? There's PQ and then there's the other one, HL. So you don't necessarily. I mean, there's Rec 2020. You know, you don't know. And then on top of that, can you convert standard dynamic range to high dynamic range? Maybe there's a way to upscale the dynamic range. But I agree. I think high dynamic range is probably the future. As far as like what's better, what's a remarkably different experience is definitely high dynamic range is. Yeah, but Derek Lufkin says, I read 70mm has the digital equivalency of 18K. Long live large format film. I would like. I don't understand why this hasn't moved a lot quicker. I would like to see a large format digital camera. I know they exist. Like Arri, I think, has a bunch that are like 70mm. But how come there hasn't been more of a groundswell for the prosumer, let's call it that, large format. I mean, larger than quote full frame. You know, like in photography world, because I love shooting 4x5 film. I would love to have a digital 4x5 back and shoot motion picture with that. Or is that just too the focus too hard to deal with? You know, I don't know. Alien Dro says 128K MP3 destroyed SACD because MP3 was portable. Yep. I think portability is trumping quality every time it goes. Like, I would rather have a acceptable picture on my phone than to have to lug around Blu-rays. Oh my god! And I got a project I make a couple Blu-rays from. I hate making like physical media. I just hate it. I used to do a lot of physical media. I used to make a lot of DVDs, Blu-rays, and all that stuff. I hate doing that now. I hate it. Yep. Mark says, I read in a white paper that human eye can only resolve 1 degree of arc, so at certain distances you can't tell difference. That's precise. That's what I understand. That's what I understand as well. So, I mean, you can even say, like, most people, when they go to the movie theater, you really can't resolve a 4K image in a movie theater unless you're, like, sitting in the front half of the theater, which most people don't like to sit in the front half of the theater. So, yeah. I really don't care about anything above 35 millimeter. Really missing the good old days of 8 millimeter graining feel and realness on the screen. They've been dealing with APS-C for a good time. Going further seems not worth it. I don't know, but it seems to me like a large format would make you feel would be something that stands different, you know, because everybody and their mom has a freaking full frame camera, you know, like, so if you are the guy on the block that has a medium format camera or you know, even a 4x5 film, it's different. It's a different look. So that's what I think, but maybe it's such a small niche, you know, thing that probably there isn't the major manufacturers aren't going to back it, you know. So that's probably what it is. I don't know. I dig the look of 4x5 film. I wish I should spend more time shooting it, but I've got so much I'm doing right now. I'm also doing a lot of drone stuff. I've been picking up a FPV drone, so I should do a video on that. Although I'm not nearly an expert on FPV drones. Although I can tell you some things about composition and stuff I've learned about that. Anyhow. There you go. I managed to save up money and buy 10 sheets of Kodak Portra 8x10. Nice. I don't have 8x10 camera, but I have a 4x5. Let's go shooting. I've like tried to get some of my friends. I know one friend whose girlfriend like shoots photography. Like, yeah, let's go out. I'll take the 4x5 camera out. We'll do some 4x5. Last time I did some 4x5 film, I kind of goofed up the development, so I'll have to try it again. Alrighty. If you like cool grainy format, you can't beat 2perf. That's for sure. Oh, how does the cat like nature documentaries? Okay. Unity says bigger than full frame will happen more and more for sure as full frame becomes cheaper and lower margin. Yeah, I think medium format's gonna be right. I mean, can't only be Hasselblad. Why doesn't Canon have a medium format camera? Just, you know, charge like $10,000 for it and then charge a premium for it. You know, but at least put the technology out there. I don't know. Maybe it's a technological. I guess maybe it's a technological issue because I know they did the video where you have a limited space on a wafer, a silicon wafer. And imagine you probably only fit like 4 medium format chips on a silicon wafer. That's probably why they don't do it, because it's so dang. But then you charge a premium for it. Maybe sell a few of them. Who knows? I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just some guy that does just complaining out of his butt. Is it better to invest in a next-gen camera, 8K now or 4K, and upgrade to camera less often, or is it better to buy current-gen camera more frequently? Frequently. I think kind of touched on this when I was talking about future-proofing. I don't think 8K is the future. I think 4K is the limit. Even now, like I shoot pretty much 4K exclusively now. I haven't delivered a single thing in 4K. Not for paying work at all. And no one's asked me for anything 4K. Now, well, I got one project that might need a 4K output. Now that I think about it, I got one project that might want 4K, but they had me do an Instagram story, and I did that in regular HD. So, but yeah, that's a high profile client. So that's one project I did 4K. But almost everything I do is 1080, and no one has asked me for 4K, so I don't deliver it because it's not necessary. So, do you want to shoot 8K? I mean, you can if you want, but I think you're better off really sticking to quality 4K and then putting the money somewhere in sound, lighting, casting, art direction, all that stuff. Anyhow. Oh, there you go. Unity says 8x10 is chicken feed. I just developed some 7x17 black and white. Great aspect ratio for that. Yeah, 7x17. Have you seen the video of the guy that has a big box truck and a lens on the end of it? And so he literally, I think he does Polaroid or Instafilm, whatever it is. But it's literally like the box truck is the camera. and the actual prints are like whatever this big is. Whatever. When you've still got people shooting on the Alexa Mini, you're not going to see larger format than full frame boom. Maybe. All right, Paradise. Maybe resolution is not the best factor. Consider an upgrade. I agree with that. Yeah. And someone else does all their work in 1080p. Is 8K really nice for cropping? It can be useful in that sense. Yeah, I because I do a lot of event stuff too. I crop the hell out of my shots because I can't get the focal reach, because my lens is only, I should probably rent a larger lens, but sometimes I just use the 4K to crop in. The problem with cropping in, though, is the more you crop in, the more the softer your focus. Obviously, believe it or not, your depth of field, as you crop in, your depth of field decreases. So if you're not cropped in, if you're scaled down, what looks like it's in focus, that guy looks like in focus. But if you crop in to 100%, he may not be in focus anymore. So that's the other thing about cropping in that's kind of dangerous. It's like you lose the sharpness. So our demand says 4K will be huge in a couple of years. Trust me, I work a lot of tech companies. Next year they will start selling like hotcakes. I don't think so, dude. Especially not that we've had basically a year of sitting at home watching TV and no one really cares about the 4K. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think if you were to buy a new TV, like if I was buying a new TV for the home, yeah, I would buy a 4K TV. I'd buy 4K, yeah. And so I guess in that respect, you're right. You're right. 4K is it's the default for a large TV. I wouldn't get anything less than a 4K TV. You're right. I take that back. I apologize. I'm wrong. I have misspoken. You're right. 4K is going to be the default. However, you're not going to necessarily watch 4K on your 4K TV, but you're going to watch. You're going to want a 4K. Yeah, I don't think you will. I don't think there'll be. I mean, you can probably get a bargain basement TV that's not 4K, a large set that is. I mean, the smaller sets you can. Obviously, 1080 will still probably be for a smallish set. 1080 will probably be quite standard. But yeah, 8K might be standardized at big productions in order to apply VFX stabilization, reframe, scene stills, blah blah blah. True. But the thing is, those big productions are also not shooting like cheap files, small files. They're shooting like massive files. So like your iPhone going to shoot 8K? Oh my God, yes. No, they're not going to use the iPhone. There you go. Unity says part of the problem with 4K adoption is that most people stream now, and many of the streaming apps are bit rate starved at 4K. 4K versus 44S 1080p Blu-ray is much more noticeable difference. I'm sorry, 4K versus 1080p Blu-ray is much more noticeable difference. Yeah, I kind of noticed that even when watching Squid Games, watching on my standard definition television at home, that even the bit rate was a little bit struggling there. Even it was 1080p. It was 1080p running through a SD adapter. but I could even see the crunchiness in the shadows. I could see the blocky shadows. Yeah, most smartphones are not 4K, but a lot of smartphones can shoot 4K, 8K cameras. Pop Freshman, I can imagine these exponential increase in resolution to get really unwieldy data-wise at some point. I think we're already there. I think they've become unwieldy, and I don't think people. It's one of those things. I'm getting in trouble for this. I'll probably do a video on this. I was planning on doing this video next about high bit rate, not bit rate, but high sample rate audio, and how I understand the argument for recording at 96 kilohertz, but the argument for recording at 192 kilohertz is just befuddlingly doesn't make any sense, and it's been well known. It's been well known. So I think the same thing is happening in the vision. You're gonna sell a bunch of 4K TVs to people who are watching YouTube videos on them that may be streaming at 720. And people are going to watch it, and they're going to happily think, this is awesome, this looks great, and that's it. They won't know that they're watching a 720 image on a 4K screen, or hell, even an 8K screen. They won't know because, hey, they were sold the 8K screen. It's kind of like there's an old thing that's well known in the stereo world, is if you're trying to compare two stereos, the salesman will oftentimes make this stereo that's more expensive turn it up a little bit louder, because when it's a little louder, you perceive it as better quality. It's one of our brains of this weird thing. So with televisions, I think if you have like a little bit more contrast ratio, you're going to perceive it as better, even if it's like in every essence lower specs. So we are definitely at that point where it's just like weird. Anyhow, Armand says it's time to go. Tomorrow's going to be a huge business day. Good for you. Good for you. Tomorrow's going to be big for me in the morning, too. Your thoughts on religion, says Fran F., with a picture of Freud. Yeah, I'm not touching that one. How do you get jobs in production without experience? Easy. Well, you just got to work for free, unfortunately. And there might be a strike coming, so it might be hard. Yep. The most thing that really makes a difference in the camera's dynamic range, that's the direction I prefer cameras to evolve. Let's try to achieve the quote about human perception of 20 stops is kind of dubious. I mean, yes and no. Like, I don't think a human being really can see 20 stops dynamic range. It might be possible with but if I were to like show you something written on a card that was at, and like a certain light level, and then shine another light that's 20 stops brighter, you'd probably be blind. I don't believe that the 20 stops is really that necessary. And on top of that, like when you actually look at a TV screen, you're not going to get 20 stops of dynamic range. Yeah, maybe 10, I think is the max. Yeah, maybe not even that. So yeah, even with high dynamic range, I don't think you're getting more than 10. I'll probably be wrong on that, but I don't think cameras necessarily need to be that. I don't think the dynamic range needs to be that high. I think where we are now with high-end cameras, the dynamic range is all we need for about 99.99% of circuit. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right on that. Yeah, again, people get hung up on like technical specs, but like the most artistic movies are the ones where they don't show you everything. Like I'd rather watch a film noir with like inky shadows. And how much dynamic range do you think is there? Like 3 stops, 4 stops? I mean, so few stops. Yeah, Lucas says, that's a good point. It has a fluent variant of 9 stops that shifts depending on the lighting. And that's the point I was trying to make, really. Yeah, your eye's capable of 20 stops dynamic range, but that's like, it can adjust. Your iris closes up and opens up. That's one of my videos that I want to do. This is a good comment here. Why can't the sun on my TV be blinding as the real thing? That's the thing. Well, when I was watching HDR an HDR demonstration, like I thought the sun in the shot was like, whoa, that's really bright. I have to like turn my eyes a little bit because HDR can do that. Can feel like you're really watching something really, really bright. Anyhow, I forgot what my point was going to say. I was going to say something about something or another. Oh, yeah. I was going to do a video about the frame rate in the human eye because I've heard so many incorrect statements about like, oh, the human eye is capable of seeing 300 frames a second or 500 frames, infinite frames a second. And I think, nope, none of that is true. And the clickbaity title I'm going to use is the human eye. What's the frame rate of the human eye? And the title will be 10 frames a second because it is that low. But the thing is, if you just talk about the eye, the brain is where the magic happens. The brain is where the vision is interpolated into a sense of the world. I have rabbits, and they have eyes on the side of their heads, which is really hard for a human being to understand because we love dogs, we love cats, we love animals that like bears, although I probably wouldn't love a bear in real life. But we all love, higher order animals. So we're used to expressions of looking at something, like when a dog's looking at you or a cat's looking at you. But a rabbit doesn't. I don't know if the rabbit, what I interpret the rabbit as looking at me, I'm not sure he's really looking at me because his eyes are on the side of his head. Like is he looking at me? If he's got his nose pointed at me, is he looking at me? He probably can't see me. I'm kind of in the blind spot of his face. And I think about this a lot because I feed my rabbits little animal crackers. I probably shouldn't, but they love them, and it's a bonding experiment. And I only give them one cookie a day, and they love cookies, right? They love it. Or I give them a treat like a banana, and I will put it in front of them, and I know that they can't see the food that's right below their mouth. Like we can't really see the food right in our mouth. We really can't see the food, right? So they have to sense the world. I'm sure they sense the world with their smell, with their hearing, with everything. They create this view of the world, right? An understanding of their world, of the presence in their world. And it's all through the brain, and it's all through using their senses. So they obviously must sense things differently. So back to the point about frame rate. Our eyes are not the tools that we think they are. They are only feeding raw information to our brain, and our brain is sussing out every detail about our world. So how we imagine the world, how we imagine the physicality of the world, the distances and the motion even of the world is all happening in the brain, not the eye. Anyhow, can't wait to talk about that, and I can't wait for the hate comments from PC Master Race. I feel like I thrive on hate comments. Anyhow, all right, I'm going to wrap it up here pretty soon. I got to get back to work here, but I would love to just hit a few more comments before I go. Let's see here. If you look from inside your house to the outside, you clearly see a lot of shadows in your house at the same time, bright sky, but not even tops in. Sure, they can. Actually, they can. Try it with trying to shoot when shooting log. You can actually pull it off. A lot of the dynamic range between inside the house and outside the house is still like maybe 12 stops, 10, 12 stops. I don't know. I've done it before. It's not that hard, actually. 20 stops gets pretty darn high. The newest iPhone ads claim Hollywood in your pocket camera demos look so good with the full crew. I know. I've given up trying to figure, I just ignore that stuff. I don't care. I know what it's like to make movies. You can't just make movie. I mean, yeah, you can make a movie with your phone, but no one will watch it unless you have something cool in front of it. I've got a lot of toys here in my studio, and how many films have I made? None lately, because I've been too busy with other stuff, and I don't necessarily have the story, the people, and everything that I want to put in front of the camera, because that's what matters. The gear doesn't matter. It's what you put in front of the camera that matters. Nothing else matters. It's what you put in front of the camera. Anyhow, so yeah, I don't pay attention to that. Sus. That's a little sus of me, isn't it? Maybe I'm the one. Maybe I'm the. That's how behind the times. Maybe I'm the one that's among us. Yeah, that's right. How do I feel about projectors versus TV screens? I have no real opinion. I mean, if I had a projection room, I might like a projector. Oh yeah, LiDAR with 3D printing. That'd be cool. I do a lot of 3D printing, so I would love the LiDAR technology. Oh, thank you for watching all my videos, Edu, and thanks for hanging out. From Brazil, how you doing? I'm just lightning around these chats here. Do you think Technicolor process and the camera color process are equal? Technicolor is a dead format, but it is a brilliant format, but it is no longer around. No longer around. They just think they should say optional equipment and optional talent as well. Like, Will Smith has a big social media presence. So if I had Will Smith in my movies, I could shoot with an iPhone and it would look like Hollywood production because it's got Will Smith in it. Or if I had Jack Black, who does a lot of social media. Like if I had Jack Black and a makeup artist to do his hair, and then I had a wardrobe artist, make sure you get the wardrobe, and I make sure I have a lighting a gaffer too, a good one too, not your film school dropout, no, a good gaffer. Oh yeah, and a sound stage. Give me one of those, and I'll shoot on my iPhone, no problem. And you would not be able to tell. Well, I mean, you might be able to tell. You might be able to tell it was shot on an iPhone. Yeah, might. Versus like I don't know, like an Arri, the highest end Arri, whatever they make. And a beautiful lens on top of that. Yeah, I might be able to tell. But, if I could shoot a lot of stuff with my iPhone and it would look great if I had all that other stuff. Yeah. Big budget star shooting an iPhone still may not sell. Remember Quibi? What was Quibi? Yeah, I know what Quibi was. We all forgot what Quibi was. Light is cinema. Don't forget the word photography. Photo meaning light. Graphy meaning graph. Light graphing. That's what it is. Technicolor process are very equal to color cameras today, and I want your opinion. Oh yeah, so sure. I mean, they're obviously not the same, but the idea is pretty similar. But the quality of the thing we gotta remember about Technicolor back in the day, Technicolor Process 3, I believe it was called. That's the one that's the 3-strip, but it's the third version of Technicolor. It was. You gotta remember when they made those movies. Technicolor sent out like people to like watch every detail. They would like make sure the lighting was just right, make sure that the art design was just right. They used the right colors, like the wardrobe used the exact. Process 4. Thank you, Nadoler. They used like they had extremely tight quality control because that's the reason why Technicolor 3 failed. The 2-strip Technicolor, because a lot of people were using it and it wasn't good, and it started becoming really, really bad, and it wasn't really good quality. So they really were tight on color control, right? So that means all those movies look fantastic. So, yeah. Nate Diller says he made a filter forge into Process 4, sort of the way that Aviator did it with 2-strip, I guess, too, right? I recreated the LUT made for Aviator. Cool. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Pops Pressure Mind says, imagine that soundstage set up with all that stuff, dolly tracks, camera crane, and rinky-dinky little phone attached to it. Kind of goofy. Yeah, could you imagine the crew's like, yeah, we're shooting an iPhone ad today. I mean, and we're used to shooting with, these Aris and Reds and, high-end Sony Cine Altas and the $30,000, or $100,000 lens on. No, today we're going to shoot with an iPhone. Yeah, it pays great though because it's freaking Apple. They got money. They got more money than God. So, anyhow, what is your favorite budget camera? I really liked the Canon 5D. Well, it wasn't really a budget camera. Back in the day, it was a cool little camera, and it fitted out with Nikon lenses, cheap old vintage Nikon lenses. You get away with a lot of fun, man. And it made a movie that won an award, and I'm still bragging about it all these years later, like 12 years later. Anyhow. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. This is a nice lightning round. I really enjoyed tech talking to you guys. It is a blast. It is a hoot. We will have to do this again next week. And hopefully I can get some time. We can actually make some Filmmaker IQ videos and do some good stuff. All right, check out everything. Question: What one camera, one lens for the life? Sure, any camera, any camera you have, any lens you have that you happen to have with you, and you know how to use, that is the camera. That is the best camera for you at that moment. So, like I always say, go out there. Like seriously, go make something. Stop going on Twitter and complaining about things, and go out there and make something great. I'm John Hess. I'll see you next time, Filmmaker IQ. Take care, guys. So long. Bye-bye.